movie hit in Hong Kong. It's only been open for a week. It's a porn film and it's in 3D. It's established itself as one of Hong Kong's biggest box office successes. It's in Chinese language. It's called Sex and Zen, and it's an erotic comedy. It took more than $350,000 on the first day of opening. That was Thursday, and that beat the record set by Avatar in Hong Kong. So popular that groups have been travelling to the territory from mainland China to check out the movie. Let's go to our correspondent in the territory, Anne-Marie Evans. So what did the audience reckon to it?
Well, I think there's been a largely a very enthused response. The film encompasses slapstick comedy, vulgar slang, titillation and period costume drama, and period costume dramas always go down well here. But I think it's been right across the board. I mean, I've met older people, younger people. I met some young mainlanders who'd come down to see it. They were less than enamoured. They felt it had too much violence, and we'll hear from them shortly. But generally, yes, the cinemas have been packed. There's 7 screenings a day, and it's on at well over 200 cinemas. I mean, the King's Speech didn't get anywhere near that.
Let's hear some of the people outside one of the cinemas in Hong Kong.
Not very good. Yeah, it's not very acceptable, I think. It's too a little bit violent. Yeah, other things are okay.
So what didn't you like about the violence?
Well, I haven't seen a film like this before, so it takes some time for me to accept this film. So I should say it's not acceptable for me.
Yeah, we think this film is far from our expectation because it contains so much violence. But actually, admittedly, we think it's a good film because the consequence is good, and the people in the film they achieve their goals after their efforts. So I think this is the positive side of the film. Thank you.
I just see the first part, but second part I didn't see the second part because I've heard that it's very violent. Yeah.
And what did you think of the first half?
I think it's okay. Yeah.
Well, there we go. That must be the first erotic comedy that's unacceptably violent. And now there's always a slightly different reaction between the critics and the public. Anne-Marie, what have the critics made of it?
Well, I think there has been a reaction largely of amusement to it. I mean, this has received huge media hype. It started a year ago when the film was being made here in Hong Kong, and of course it had the claim to be the first 3D soft porn film. But generally, yes, positive. There have been some questions about the use of violence against women in part of it. But generally, you know, it's been taken in the spirit, I think, that the film is meant, that it's comedic and it's almost like a sort of carry-on film, I would say, without the clothes in certain aspects. But it's largely, from the critics, received a positive response. One of those is the South China Morning Post's senior reporter for culture, that's Vivian Chow, who gave it a definite thumbs up.
Honestly, my expectation of the film, well, before I saw it, was not very high, but I was actually quite surprised when I saw the film. I was expecting lots of racy, juicy, sex scenes, but then there was more than just sex because there was lots of humor in there, and because the film was in Cantonese, so they used a lot of Cantonese slangs, like the most outrageous one that anyone can imagine, and the response was really good, and I personally really enjoyed it.
Now, like other franchises, like Pirates of the Caribbean, there's the colon, and then there's the extreme, so Sex and Zen, and then Extreme Ecstasy. So we can imagine that there might be prequels and sequels to this current film. Do you think it has legs for future runnings of other films in a similar ilk?
I think it's highly possible because of such a good reaction, and I know the sales has been doing really well, internationally. It's even sold to Peru. So I would expect they will try to put together a sequel, but perhaps they would take the feedback from the audience from this time, and maybe they will have more juicy sex scenes and make it more 3D. in future.
More juicy sex scenes in 3D. Vivian Chow of South China Morning Post. Final question to you, Anne-Marie. Did you think it was any good?
I think bits of it are hilarious, and I think the use of 3D for soft porn, where you get what you're paying for when you go to the cinema, and certainly the audience reaction to those bits was hilarious, because it just sort of comes out in the screen. Just to point out that this obviously is soft porn, so whilst there's full nudity, there isn't full-on sexual intercourse, but the 3D aspect does mean that you're almost with them on the screen. But I did have an issue with the violence aspect, even if it's done in a comedic way. There's certain violence against women which I didn't personally appreciate.
Anne-Marie Evans, many thanks. Sex and Zen, coming to a cinema near you. Possibly.